Welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be talking about the KTM 790 Adventure R. There has been a lot of interest from all of you out there in this particular bike, and so I want to take a moment before we even get started and thank all of you for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and please continue to do so. It is very new, and I know there's going to be a lot of continued interest and a lot of interest to get questions answered probably before I'm in a position to answer them, because I like to have some time so that I'm giving you guys a well-formed opinion before I just offer up anything at all. So if you haven't already, be sure to click that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you get notified as we upload new videos. I'll be breaking up a series of videos on this motorcycle to cover a lot of different aspects in detail, as well as some additional comparisons between this motorcycle and the KTM 1090 Adventure R, which I also have. For today, we're going to be talking about the buying experience, what you might expect if you're in the market to purchase one of these, what my buying experience was, and if anybody has had a different experience, please put that in the comments below so that everybody else can learn from what we're all experiencing as these hit the market and become available. I want to start with a quick shout out to World of Powersports Decatur. Those guys were really good about talking to me with the purchase of this motorcycle and working with me. They took my inquiries over the phone. They responded really quickly, and once I decided that I wanted the motorcycle, they were more than happy to consider it sold and then call me back. I put a small deposit on my credit card to hold it so they knew I was a serious buyer, but that basically ensured that I had this one. And then obviously I was going down the very next day, so there wasn't exactly an opportunity for anybody to come and snatch it up before I bought it. However, if you are in the market and you find one that's at a dealership, I would highly recommend, if you are serious and you know you even want it, get in there and put a deposit down. Because of the demand, whether it's justified or not, the demand right now remains high on these, and a lot of the dealerships already have their first allocations sold. Some of those were deposits that people put down. There are even people online that are selling their place in line based on a deposit that they put down early on. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on right now with these motorcycles. If you keep an eye out, hopefully you can find a dealership near you and again call them to negotiate one. But I would recommend, at least until the initial wave of hype dies down, that if you want one, again, putting that deposit down and committing to the purchase early. Obviously, those types of deposits are always refundable. Make sure you check with your dealer to verify that first. But basically, if you show up and you don't want the motorcycle or don't like the motorcycle or something like that, most good dealers and reputable dealers should be more than happy to refund that deposit for you. But again, ask them that before you commit that money to it. Moving on from the deposits and the availability, the other thing to keep in mind is that because these are so early, the dealerships themselves are just getting used to these bikes. In fact, for me personally, this was the very first one that they had set up and had left their dealership. That means the experience took a little bit longer at the dealership than would normally be expected, and I covered a little bit of that in my previous video, but basically what happened is they were working through trying to figure out why the check engine light was not going out on the dash. There are two activation modes to these motorcycles, so ensure that your dealer takes care of both of those. Basically how KTM does this is they ship the motorcycle and it has to be activated once the dealer receives it. This allows the bike to be started and potentially test ridden, but it has a limit in terms of the mileage. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's somewhere in the 50 to 100 mile range. There is a second level of deactivation that they have to do within the computer that they attach to the bike, and basically that one happens after the purchase has been completed. My understanding of the process is that basically when you go through the purchasing process, then it generates a code or something along those lines. They plug that in and that verifies that it has in fact been purchased. The reason for this is that if the bike were to be stolen from the dealer before it was actually sold, if anybody stole it, they shut the key off, they wouldn't be able to restart the engine. What this could potentially mean to you if both steps aren't completed is that you could actually purchase the motorcycle, take it home, go for your first ride, maybe even your second ride, depending on how long, shut the motorcycle off and have it not restart. So if anybody has an issue like that where very, very early on their bike will not restart, this is a potential cause, and be sure to contact your dealer and have them verify that both unlocks have been done. Next up, they also do not necessarily know all of the features, the functionality, or what all of the connections are. A prime example of this is there is a 16-pin or so connector underneath the seat here. I noticed it when they were setting up the bike and I asked about it, and the guy honestly did not know what it was for. I didn't know what it was for. I've seen reports on the internet that that connector is basically for an aftermarket alarm offering that maybe is through the KTM Power Parts catalog. I'm still not 100% sure of that, so again, if any of you know, be sure to leave the comments below if you've confirmed that that is what that connector is for. If I find out with certainty, I'll be sure to update you guys. Now, the other unfortunate aspect of being an early adopter, and let's face it, any of us that are buying these right now, that is exactly what we are. We are early adopters. This is a brand new motorcycle. Because it's a brand new motorcycle and because it is a very popular and sought after motorcycle at this point in time, just expect that if you want to be one of those early adopters, you're probably not going to have an opportunity to negotiate much on price. So you may end up having to pay full MSRP, which in fact I personally did. But again, that might taper down just depending on how things go after more people get these, more information gets out there, and depending on the supply demand. It's basic economics, but right now the demand is very high and the supply is very low. Because a lot of people put down deposits and because they are moving quicker and people like me then move further out to other dealerships, it will continue to keep that supply low because they are getting purchased very rapidly, and therefore dealerships are probably not willing to negotiate too much on the price. However, make sure that they're not adding anything extra in. Again, the dealership that I worked with was very good about that. When they sent me the purchase agreement, it was very straightforward, very clean cut, no extra fees, the normal setup dock fees, but they were nominal. They weren't exaggerated or anything like that. So I wasn't too concerned about it, and I'm okay with dealerships getting the money that they need to keep the lights on. A year down the road, obviously, I would not expect to pay full MSRP for one of these, but again, that will depend on supply and demand at that point in time. I think that supply and demand and the overall cost will highly depend on how things go with this motorcycle. If it continues to live up to what we all expect from it, especially me having purchased one, that it is relatively problem-free for a first model year, and that it is delivering on what its promise was, which so far all indications point to yes. If that happens, then the prices may not fluctuate much. They may not go down much. In fact, you might see some people starting to try and jack the price up. They might be buying them and trying to resell them. So keep an eye out for those types of things. And if you guys see something like that, like a brand new one of these that was purchased and immediately up for sale and over the price of the cost, post back, put it in the comments below, because those are the type of things that it would be good for everybody to be aware of, and those are the type of things that are going to artificially keep the price high on these. If you are interested and you really know that you want one of these, again, in addition to finding one online and calling them immediately, it always helps if you're paying in cash or certified funds. Most dealerships don't actually want you to bring the physical cash in because it causes them to fill out additional paperwork. The IRS requires it for anything, I believe, over $10,000. But essentially, if you have certified funds so you don't have to do any financing or anything like that, it makes life a lot easier because you can quickly commit to that and not have to worry about any credit checks or anything like that. So you'll just be more likely to secure your spot in line. If you did not put a deposit down, again, make it to that dealership as quickly as possible. The second one of these that they had at the dealership that I purchased from actually sold the same day that I called and made the purchase on this one here, or put the deposit down at least. So all things to keep in mind. Again, I know a lot of you are going to comment about whether or not that's right or wrong, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but the demand right now is just much higher than supply. So it's going to stay that way at least for the foreseeable future. Again, unless significant problems arise. I know a lot of you are asking about some of those problems that have been reported throughout the internet. It's way too early in my ownership experience for me to comment on those. I certainly will be more than happy to take a look at things on the bike. I'm going to try and get some close-up shots for you throughout this video here so that you'll have a better chance to see some things close up. A lot of the concern is around the foot peg mountings. I've tried to explain it the best I can in the comments. I'll try and again get some better shots throughout this video and show you those as well. Let me know what you're looking for. Let me know what your questions are. I'll give you an idea of some of the broad topics that I already know that I want to cover, and those are likes and dislikes, at least so far. I'm also going to cover in detail the KTM My Ride. I'm going to go through things like the rally mode and the throttle response settings in a great deal of detail so that if you either are thinking about getting one or maybe you already have one and you're having trouble figuring some of those things out, in particular the KTM My Ride app, it is a little kludgy to get that paired up. So I'll be covering those in subsequent videos. So once again, please be sure to click that subscribe button. Be sure to click the bell notification so you get notified as I continue to post these videos. As I start to get more mileage on the bike, I will be posting more updates and information about how it rides, about on-road, off-road. But again, I want to have enough time and enough miles on the motorcycle that I can actually formulate that opinion clearly before offering it up to you guys. I know everybody's anxious, so I promise I will try to do everything I can to fit these videos in whenever I can and get them out to you as fast as I can. But bear in mind, this is just a hobby for me and something that I do in my free time, so it may not be as quickly as you all want. I sincerely appreciate your patience. Again, I want to thank everybody for all their interest on all the various social media channels from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also here on YouTube, as well as visiting our website. So if you're not aware of those already, be sure to go to Instagram. We're KDE Motorsports on there. Be sure you follow us on Twitter. It's KDE Motorsports there as well. We have a Facebook page, which is KDE Motorsports, and then we also have a website, which is kdemotorsports.com. The important thing about kdemotorsports.com is it has a blog section, so if you're really interested in getting all the latest information on this, be sure to go to our website because it's much faster and easier for me to type things up as they happen. I've already posted one blog post out there about the experience so far, and it just takes less time for us to write that up and get it posted on the website versus doing a full-on video. But then anything that we cover there, we will subsequently be putting videos together as well. So regardless of what your preferred channel is for preference, you can find us on all of those locations. And until next time, stay tuned, ride safe, and take care.